Hi there, welcome along to another Jenny Kirk video here on the Jenny channel, and we're going to be doing another box opening and review, and we're taking on those tasks that other box opening and review channels here on YouTube don't really bother with. Nobody else is really doing rolling stock, so we're going to do it for you. Do you want to take a good closer look? This is the place to come. Let's take a little look. Well, we've reviewed a lot of stuff from Bachmann and Hornby over the years, and not quite so much from Oxford Rail, so I thought I'd redress the balance a little bit here. And what we've got is one of their 7-plank end-door tipping wagons in the livery of John Facer and Company of London. And this is catalogue number OR76 MW7010. It's been out a little while, but one of the local model shops that I support has had this in the window, you can see, and what I've noticed is that the Oxford Rail boxes are a little bit prone to fading. You can even see where the price tag's been just there, but we're not really too bothered about that. It's the same form factor as the Hornby, the Daypole and the Bachmann wagons, but I'm going to slide it out. I'm going to put that to one side. And one of the things, we touched on this before, that Oxford Rail don't do is add the little plastic bit there just to stop the plastic insert from rubbing on the wagon. And actually, as you can see from this wagon, and indeed the last wagon we reviewed, it isn't actually necessary. So it may be one of the many ways that Oxford Rail is able to reduce the cost and pass those savings on to you. And in this day and age of inflation and wages not really growing as well as most people would be liking, it is quite nice that Oxford Rail's kind of got your back, and as they're expanding their range and bringing out new liveries, they are really keeping the prices down a little bit. Now, these wagons have gone head-to-head with the Bachmann equivalent, and it's nice to see that really the Oxford Rail wagon, in some respects, does take the edge in terms of detail of the base wagon itself. One of the early problems that they had was with the tempo printing of the white, and with later releases they seem to have redressed this. So I'm looking quite closely here, and where you see the black strapping with the white lettering going over the top, on earlier releases you would have seen the black strapping quite clearly bleeding through the white, but they've really got to the bottom of that, and it's good to see that Oxford Rail has upped their game and has taken on board criticism and actually enacted something in that area to bring a really good wagon to the market. Now, the base wagon itself is a post-1923 railway clearinghouse design, and it's something that I'd have to look into this particular livery as to whether it's suitable for a post-1923 wagon, but we're not too fussy. The fact that these can be got for about £8 a piece, brand new in today's market, is good enough for me. It really does forgive a few little quirks that actually the prices on the Bachmann wagons are starting to push their luck a little bit, especially on wagons that have been out since 1997. These particular wagons have only reached the market in the last couple of years, and it's nice to see how quickly and comprehensively Oxford Rail have been expanding their range. One of the big detractions for me with the Oxford Rail wagons is that the buffer heads are quite loose and just pop on out there. They are a metal turned thing, so they are quite fine, but it's something that you might want to put a little dab of glue on there, and just to make sure that they stay in place, because believe me, if these drop out unnoticed somewhere on your layout or in storage or get on the carpet, you're never going to find them again. The underframe detail, it's a peculiarity to Oxford Rail wagons. I think they did it because they could, more so than because it actually added anything to the wagon, but it does make them quite easy when you've got them upside down like this to tell them apart from the Bachmann alternatives. The brake pieces, they're all separately applied details. They're actually quite finely done. Slightly finer, I would say, than the Bachmann wagons have as well. That's not to detract from the Bachmann wagon. They are fine in and of themselves, but I think Oxford Rail have kind of gone that little bit extra on these, and it really does show. We've got the couplings in the NEM pockets at the correct height, and then we've got on these wagons, we've got their rendition of the double-spoked wheels, which are nicely done, actually. I see all the Oxford Rail wagon wheels, and every single one of them seems to be done quite well, just like the Bachmann versions are. Hornby do, in my opinion, have overly wide treads at the front of the wheels, and it's something which I've pointed out on reviews of their wagons, that to me it is an area that they could improve on, but Oxford Rail have not fallen into that trap, in my opinion. The tempo printing is excellent. We've got a good clean rendition of the lettering, and then we've got the smaller stuff, the thing about advising repairs and where the wagon's to go empty to, that kind of thing is all very neatly applied. We've also got some details on the wagon sole bar to do with who actually built the wagon, and also quite possibly on there a little plate which would denote where the wagon was first registered, and I've got every faith that they'll be perfectly readable under magnification once we get the old close-up O-Vision running over this thing. And we do look closer than anybody else does. I've said this time and time again, we look so close that we pick up things that the other review channels on YouTube have missed. So you get the full interpretation of these models here and only here. It's interesting to note that when we've looked at the Builder's Works plate under very, very close magnification, it actually appears to say 1897, and certainly does say London and South Western Railway Company as being the company of first registration. So that puts this wagon as being very, very firmly in the pre-1923 era in terms of the livery application, even though the wagon itself is a post-1923 wagon. It is quite significant because it does mean that the livery as such is perfectly acceptable to run with a lot of my pre-grouping wagons, even if the wagon to the rivet counters amongst the community would look somewhat out of place. But I'm happy with that. That's good enough for me. But 1897, that's quite an early wagon livery. This also tallies with the repairs advice note that's actually in the wagon livery, and it's something maybe I should have spotted it sooner. If you note there, it says for repairs advise R.Y. Pickering, and then gives a London street address. There's no trace of a telephone number, and that's because way back in 1897 there were no telephones, so it would have actually been quite a long-winded process. You'd have probably had to send either a telegram or a letter in the post. There's not really much else that can be said about the wagon. In terms of separately applied detail, well, there's the bar across the top of the door, the end tipping door, is a separately applied piece there. It's actually really subtle. And the same as on the Bachmann wagons, if you weren't looking too closely, it'd be very easy to miss that. And certainly if you put insertable wagon loads in these to represent a full load of something like coal, it's very easy to damage and break that because it is quite a fine moulding and very easy to miss and get caught. The inside of the wagon is very nicely realised. We've got very crisp representations of the bottom doors on the wagon, and the inner detail of the doors is as good as can be expected given the limitations of the injection moulding process. The wood colour on the inside of this wagon, well, it's actually a little bit better than the previous Oxford Rail wagon that I reviewed here on the Jenny channel. It's a slightly darker colour, but it's still not perfect. But in my mind, in model form, this slightly darker brown does work a little bit better, even though actually probably nothing like the colour that the inside of these wagons would have been in reality. Overall, I'd give this wagon a good solid 9 out of 10. There isn't really anything major to detract from it, and any detractions that there are of a pretty minor nature, and that great price tag does go a massive way to overlook any flaws that you do come across, because where else are you going to get a brand new wagon to this quality, to this finish, for well under £10? Well, I hope that was informative to you. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and also, really important, subscribe to the channel and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying take care of yourself. Bye for now. If you liked today's video, please consider checking out my Patreon page where you can help me to keep making the videos that you love. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T Mouse. Thanks and catch you later.